It's cold here. Good afternoon from me, Rolene Marks, from a cold and wet Israel. This is the Israel Brief, where my amazing Israel briefers join me from all around the world. We join each other every Monday to Thursday to take a look at those top stories making headlines in Israel. And we do it in partnership with these guys, Lay of the Land. And did you know that we put out a weekly newsletter? So if you would like to receive our newsletter filled with original articles and content, as well as your edition of the Israel Brief, please be in touch with us via our website. So let's take a look at those top stories. Today is day 495 of Israel's war with Hamas following the atrocities committed on the 7th of October, which means that we still have 76 hostages, some of them sadly not with us anymore, but those that are alive have been held in untenable conditions now for 495 days. We want them all back now. And just a reminder, if you have a question that you would like featured on the Israel Brief, please pop it in the comments section below or be in touch with us via our various social media. And a reminder that tomorrow is Thursday, which means Mentions and Morons. And I've got quite a few nominations. What is very interesting is that they all seem to be unanimous on either side. So it's very, very interesting, and it gives me a lot of insight into what your opinions are, which I love to hear about. But first things first, let's get on with the headlines. And Prime Minister Netanyahu addressing the nation last night following a very long cabinet meeting said to Hamas, return all of our hostages by 12 o'clock on Saturday, or the ceasefire is over. Now, yesterday I brought you President Trump's comment, which was basically the same thing. Return all of the hostages, not 2, not 4, not drips and drabs, by 12 o'clock on Saturday, or all hell will break loose. Now, we don't know what President Trump meant when he said all hell will break loose, but we do know from Israel's side, the Prime Minister said the ceasefire will be over. Now, the IDF remain on high alert, and no sooner had the Prime Minister issued his ultimatum to Hamas, the IDF called up reserve troops for the Southern Command, and the Prime Minister said that IDF troops are amassed around and inside the Gaza Strip. Now, this follows Hamas's threat to indefinitely postpone the release of hostages. For what reason? They say that Israel has violated the ceasefire agreement. They claim that not enough humanitarian aid is going in, whereas the United Nations have said the amount of humanitarian aid has in fact increased. So is this Hamas trying to buy time, given the condition of the hostages that we saw released on Saturday? Is this Hamas trying very desperately to use whatever leverage they have? Or is this Hamas playing psychological games with the people of Israel and the families of hostages? We don't know. But what we do know is that from Israel's side, we are not going to take those threats. We want our people back. We want them back now. Now, there have been reports that Hamas, fearing a resumption of the war, has instructed their operatives not to use their phones. Israeli officials are angered at an appalling viral video that is circulating on social media that shows 2 Australian nurses speaking to a social media personality who is Israeli and saying that they will murder Israeli and Jewish patients. Now, they have been told to stand down, or they have been stood down. I'm not quite sure what that means. I read that as they have been fired or suspended pending an investigation. But what was even more alarming in this viral video is they claim to have already done so. Now, at this particular hospital, they have had staff photographed before wearing Free Palestine t-shirts and wearing Palestinian flags. Now, can you imagine what it is like for a Jewish or an Israeli patient to go to this hospital and seek treatment, knowing that this is the kind of medical terrorism that is being practiced by some of their medical staff. And what is scary is that this is not the only incident of this kind of threat around the world. We've seen doctors, nurses in hospitals around the world also making a variety of threats and discriminatory comments when it comes to Israeli or Jewish patients. Now, there will be a police investigation, but this has gone viral around the world, and it comes at a time when anti-Semitism is spiking, not just in Australia, but in countries all around the world. The Houthis have threatened that if the war resumes, they will resume attacks on ships in the Red Sea, as well as firing their ballistic missiles on Israel. If you recall, the Yemen-based Houthis, Yemen, that country where there is mass starvation, throughout the war, throughout the Iron Swords War, have been firing ballistic missiles towards Israel, many of them towards where I live, the city of Modi'in, waking us up at really, really ungodly hours. Now, what is interesting about Yemen is that the Houthis were holding various UN workers hostage. One of those UN workers actually died in custody, and the United Nations have suspended their humanitarian aid. What I found ironic is the United Nations seem to forget that philosophy when it comes to Israel and our war against Hamas. And finally, despite the inclement weather, because it is raining here up a storm, not complaining, we desperately need the rain, we're having the driest winter in 100 years. It is Tu B'Shvat, the new year of the trees. Now, trees are very, very sacred in Israel, and one of the greatest gifts that you can give anybody is to buy a tree or a copse of trees. And did you know that Israel has more trees today than we did at the founding of the state nearly 77 years ago? However, with the war, with the firing of rockets in the north from Hezbollah and in the south from Hamas and other terror groups, a lot of trees have been burnt or damaged. So if you want to do something really wonderful for Israel, find out in your countries how you can purchase trees in Israel. So those are our top stories for today. And I have a question from Melvin in Sydney. He says, Rolene, where are other world leaders in demanding the hostages are released? Great question, Melvin. And I think I alluded to it earlier this week when I said we've heard language, and whether you like him or you don't like him, from President Trump, you know, that's your own personal opinion. But we've heard language from the American president saying, release the hostages or else. Why haven't we heard that language since the 7th of October 2023 from every single world leader? Every single world leader should immediately have said, release the hostages or else. And maybe we wouldn't be sitting here 495 days later, still with hostages in horrific, inhumane conditions, with civilians in a humanitarian disaster zone in the Gaza Strip. We wouldn't be sitting with that maybe if all of the world leaders had demanded the immediate release of those hostages on the 7th of October 2023. So that's it from me for today. Guys, don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our Facebook/Meta page is at Lottel Site. So if you haven't given us a like or a follow or a share or a whatever, please support our growing community. Our YouTube channel is right here at the Israel Brief. We're on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, on Instagram at Rolene_Marks. And guys, God bless you all. Give me all those mentions and morons, and I will see you again tomorrow.